The first tool we'll learn about is called Webpack. Webpack is what will tie everything together. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to Webpack. What is Webpack? Webpack is an asset bundler. On the home page, we'll find a diagram describing the role Webpack plays in our development workflow. In general, any application we develop will have dozens of JavaScript and CSS files. It may also have images, templates, icons, etc. Organizing code into separate files is usually the best way to scale and manage large applications. However, this is not ideal for production. We want users to download as few files as possible. The more files they have to download, the longer an application may take to load. It would be better if our code base was compacted into fewer files. This optimization is what Webpack does. On the left, we have our files for development. This includes files from other libraries we've downloaded. These files get processed through Webpack. On the right is what we'll end up having. Webpack compresses everything into as few files as possible. Webpack can do so much more. It can deal with various file types, deploy your application, and even provide a development server. It's pluggable as well. That means that we can download third-party libraries to extend Webpack. Currently, Webpack is the hottest tool for front-end development. The next project we'll be working on will heavily rely on Webpack. It's beneficial to have a basic understanding of how Webpack works. Let's learn how to use it. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a zip file with some starter files. Download it, unzip the contents, and point your editor to those files. There are two JavaScript files. We have an index file which will act as the main file. We're importing a module called pizza because who doesn't like pizza? Inside the pizza module, we're exporting an object with two methods called pepperoni and bacon. In both methods, we're logging a message to the console. Feel free to change these to your favorite toppings. Back inside the index file, we're calling both functions. A pretty simple app overall. For development, this structure works fine. For production, it would be nice if we could combine both files. It would result in faster loading times. One question I get asked a lot is, why is it important to bundle files? It's a good question that I want to address. First, answer me this. Which do you think would load faster? A single 20 kilobyte file or two 10 kilobyte files? Technically, they're both the same file size. It may seem like they would load at the same time, but one is faster than the other. The single 20 kilobyte file would load faster. The file size is not the only factor that can affect loading times. This is the case because a lot has to happen for the server to deliver the assets. First, the client has to perform the request. Then, the server has to search for the requested asset. Once it finds it, it'll respond with the asset. After the client receives the asset, it needs to process it. These actions take milliseconds to perform. They must be performed for every request. It's for this reason considered best practice to request as few files as possible. We may want to consider loading fewer files without having to write a lot of script tags for every script file we want to load. Combining files can be a hassle if we have dozens of them. Luckily, a tool like Webpack can automate this process for us. Let's install Webpack. First, we'll create a package file. We're going to open the command line that comes with Visual Studio Code. Feel free to use any command line you like. We'll run the following command, npm init-y. After running this command, a package file will be generated. If we open the file in our editor, we'll find an object with some properties. The values for these properties were set for us with the commands. We won't be modifying them because the default works fine for this example. We can install Webpack next. To install Webpack, we'll need to run the following commands. npm install webpack webpack-cli save-dev. This installation may take a while for some of you. Just be patient. Everything should be installed without a problem. We're introducing two packages. The Webpack package contains the core code for Webpack. It is the tool that will process our code. We must always install this package if we want to use Webpack. The second package is a CLI tool. The Webpack package doesn't automatically process our code. We need to tell it to process our code. The CLI package makes it easier to work with Webpack because it comes with commands we run in our terminal to run Webpack. We will look at some of the commands in upcoming lectures. In the next lecture, we'll start configuring Webpack.